I have to kind of qualify a little bit of that. Part of that bio, it sounded kind of stuffy and professional. And it also sounded like, I might have done some fraternizing at work when I met my wife, but that's not how it went, okay? So I ended up hiring Melissa as part of a process where students were presenting their senior research projects to us up at Homestake. And we were looking to open up the exploration department again. And so Melissa was one of several students that gave her presentation, and all of us decided, okay, we need to hire her, right? Very good presentation, she's sharp. So we hired her, and through the course of working with her, we became great friends. She's a great geologist. And then it came to mine closure, okay? When they decided they were going to close the Homestake mine. And and we had great people that we were working with. Harold Mannett, Bob Otto, and Melissa, and I had to lay these people off because of the mine closure, right? So, Melissa was gone. I was the only person in the office for a while, and then I transitioned back up to the mine, and I'm thinking to myself, geez, I really miss her, And so, called her up, asked her if she wanted to go out, and then, well, I guess the rest is history. But I need to qualify that part, because that's kind of the fun and personal part about how Melissa and I met at Homestake. And yeah, she's been my companion and for the last 19 years, wherever we've traveled and wherever we've lived. And that's the interesting thing too. We were gone for a little while after the mine closed. And after our kids started having grandchildren and my dad passed, we decided we needed to come back home. And so that's what we did about 5 years ago. And Lead has always been home. And so with respect to the piece that I'm doing tonight, I called it the Homestake Fabric. And so in the next 10 minutes, I'll try to give you a glimpse of how working at Homestake influenced me on a personal and professional level from the perspective of being a staff geologist, and how maybe we collectively, as in the group that we worked with, and maybe even at the time unknowingly, helped shape a workforce dynamic that was professional, fun, and it was really like an extended family. So I worked for Homestake as a geologist for more than 15 years in both the exploration and production roles, and I really enjoyed the diversity of work I performed. And I have a love for geology and a really deep interest in the geology of the Homestake mine. It's been something I've been passionate about ever since I started working here and ever since I left. And it fueled a passion that was for the basis of my expertise on orogenic gold deposits. And in my opinion, based on my experience, Homestake probably has the most complex geology and the most beautiful ore of any deposit, any mine I've ever seen. And I'm not exaggerating. You go underground, and a lot of us have chunks of ore, that we kept when we went underground. But you go underground, and the ore consists of these bright white quartz veins, right? And you have these ribbons of olive green chlorite running through them, along the edges and whatnot. And then you have these large, kind of silvery white diamond-shaped arsenopyrite crystals in there scattered through it. And then you have these little bronze streaks of pyrrhotite. And then if you're lucky enough, depending on where you are in the mine or where you are in that particular ore body, maybe you had little streaks of visible gold or dots of visible gold in it, right? And it's just a beautiful rock. But more than just the rocks, it was the Homestake culture that I experienced and became a part of that lasted throughout my career and even to this day. It had a profound effect on me personally and professionally, like developing meaningful relationships with the people I work with that included geologists, engineers, surveyors, the mine superintendents, the mine manager, and the miners too. It was from the surface all the way underground. And these individuals I worked with and worked for helped me develop a great skill set, a high degree of professionalism, attention to detail in my work, a good work ethic that helped me shape a progressive, approachable management philosophy. And the culture, again, was really like a working family. And one aspect of developing this culture and great workforce dynamic was occasionally pulling pranks on one another. And you did this because you genuinely liked one another, and they were your friends, and you wanted them to feel included. So one of these pranks or rituals in particular was the initiation of new technical staff like the geologists and the engineers that we dubbed as the green dress experience. So we had new hire geologists and engineers and other professional staff, and they spent the first month or so getting up to speed in their new responsibilities. And then, just when they were getting comfortable, you kind of threw them a curveball. And so let me preface this experience that I'm going to describe with a few things. So I have to start out and tell you that at the mine office, there was the men's dry that was located in the bottom of the mine office. And the dry is also a locker room, okay, men's locker room. And everyone is assigned 2 lockers in the men's dry. And one of them is for your street clothes, okay? So you put your street clothes in this clean locker, and then the other locker was for your mine clothes or your diggers, right? And so when you go underground, you take your street clothes off, you put them in the one locker, and then you take your mine clothes out, your diggers, and you put those on, and then you proceed to put on all of your personal protective equipment, right? So you put your boots on, you put your safety belt, self-rescuer, hard hat, glasses, and whatever else you might need. And then you head to the ramp with your co-workers, and you wait to go underground on the next cage. Otherwise, most of us would call it an elevator. And keep in mind that not all of the staff goes underground every day because of tasks that might need to be done up in the office, right, versus underground. And so some of the staff, along with the recently hired geologist or engineer, would proceed underground and go about their business, surveying, checking mine headings, doing grade control, whatever tasks they needed to do. And that was usually for a full morning, right? And then they'd take the noon cage up from underground. So the crew would come up, go to the surface, get off the cage, get on the ramp and proceed to the dry because they wanted to shower before lunch, right? That was just what we did. So when they get to the dry, the mine clothes come off, they grab their towel, and they go into the shower, right? Okay, well, so once they're in the shower, unbeknownst to them, someone, no names mentioned, would come into the dry, locate the person's pair of lockers, and proceed to remove all of the clothes out of both lockers. Except the mine boots and maybe their boxers, and then in the locker would go a green chiffon dress. A long green chiffon dress, okay? All right, so they would quickly open their mine clothes locker, okay? So what's going on here is that the new hire comes out of the shower, dries off, thinks everything's going all right, and he dries off, opens the locker, and surprise, he has his mine boots, his boxers, and this nice white lace trimmed green chiffon dress in the locker. Well, and then in a panic, he decides, I'm going to open up my mine clothes. I'm not going to wear this, I'm going to wear my mine clothes. Well, there's no mine clothes in the locker either. So he has a few choices. So One, he stays in the locker room and he, of course, begs somebody to try to help him find his clothes. Maybe they're hidden in the locker room somewhere, right? And of course, the person that he asks just provides kind of a token effort to help him look for his clothes, right? So that's one option, and he tries to find them. And then the other part is, well, the second choice is maybe if he waits it out, he'll hope that his clothes would return miraculously, right? And God, maybe they'll show up and I don't have to leave here, right? Well, that didn't happen. So, the other option for him too is that, he could just put his towel around him and then go up to the mine office and ask, but, that might not go very well, right? So the usual option was to just don the green dress, put the boots and his boxers on, and then go up to the mine office and ask, or really more like beg, for his clothes back, right? And so the helpful staff members, of course, would suggest maybe they go back and recheck their lockers. Well, when this person went up to the mine office, somebody was already replacing all of the clothes back in his locker, right? And so they go back down, and he'd get dressed in his street clothes, and he'd come back up to the department. And the neat thing was, they would shake his hand and really, welcome them into the department. And that was part of the initiation. And it was a warm welcome. They knew that they were part of the group at that point, and they were part of our family. So that's one of the ways that we welcomed them. And this prank wasn't gender specific either, by the way, but I'm not going to go into that. And of course, the issue with fake pranks like this, what goes around comes around, right? So yeah, things happen to the people who do it too. So, but the point of this and other similar pranks was really part of the material, no pun intended, into the workforce fabric, and I don't mean the green chiffon dress. What it does is it instantly provides the new geologist or engineer with a sense of belonging, which then developed into respect and trust and helped develop a greater sense of camaraderie and sometimes a sense of extended family. And I've heard this and other similar experiences recounted decades later, where the people would be telling them, oh yeah, this happened to me at Homestake, but what it was always followed by? How wonderful it was to work at Homestake, how great the people were that they worked with at Homestake. And for me, I loved what I did. I enjoyed the people I worked with, both on the surface and underground. And it was while I was working at Homestake when, I realized that half of being at the mine was about the work I did. The other half, if not more, was about the people. And I've had some very good jobs and worked with some very good people since then, but I've never experienced the same wonderful dynamics or coworker fabric since. And I think about that, and I miss it. Thank you.